The unfaithful husband impregnated his lover and forced his wife to leave the house and pay all the debts. Months later, he went to the bank and was paralyzed when he discovered what his ex-wife was doing. Milagros was at the kitchen table helping Angeles with homework. It was an ordinary night with the usual routine until the front door slammed open. Santiago entered holding the hand of a young pregnant woman. Milagros raised her head, confused, while Angeles stared, paralyzed by the shock. "Milagros, we need to talk," said Santiago bluntly, while Petra, the young pregnant woman, stood slightly behind him with her hands on her belly. Milagros felt a chill run up her spine. Something in Santiago's posture and tone of voice made her realize something serious was happening. "Who is she?" asked Milagros, feeling a chill run up her spine. "This is Petra. She is pregnant with me, and she has nowhere to go. She will live with us," declared Santiago with a coldness that made Milagros tremble. Milagros felt a mix of anger and pain flood her chest. She knew Santiago was hiding something. His recent attitude with the cell phone and his evasive behavior had made it clear, but she never imagined that he would bring his lover home, and even more so, pregnant. "You're saying that she's going to live here?" Milagros could barely get the words out, her voice trembling with disbelief. "Yes, Milagros. She's expecting a child of mine, a male child." "I can't leave her helpless," Santiago replied, emphasizing the word male in a way that made Milagros feel diminished. Petra, with a look of false humility, observed everything in silence. Her belly of about 6 months was undeniable. "How can you do this to our family?" shouted Milagros, unable to contain her anger. Petra took a step forward, trying to say something, but Milagros raised her hand, interrupting her. "Stay where you are," said Milagros with a voice full of determination. "You have no right to enter my house and destroy my family." Santiago tried to intervene, but Milagros didn't allow it. "No, Santiago, you're not going to do this to me. You're not going to bring this woman into our house and expect me to accept it," said Milagros, feeling tears start to run down her face. Petra, seeing the intensity of the situation, tried to speak again. "I don't want to cause problems, Milagros. I just," started Petra, but was interrupted. "What do you mean, create problems?" "You caused the biggest problem of all," shouted Milagros with a voice full of emotion. "You destroyed our family." Angeles, who was watching the scene, started crying, confused and scared. "Dad, what is happening? Why is that woman going to live with us?" asked Angeles, her voice full of confusion and fear. "Angeles, you don't understand now, but she needs help and the baby she is expecting is my son," said Santiago, trying to sound convincing. Milagros felt a wave of fury. How could he talk like that in front of his daughter, treating the situation so naturally? "Santiago, you are crazy. You can't just bring another woman into our house and expect us to accept this," exclaimed Milagros, her voice finally gaining strength. "Milagros, she is pregnant. I can't leave her helpless, and it is my son that she is carrying. You have to accept this," he answered, each word a stab in Milagros's heart. Petra kept her gaze fixed on Milagros, and for a moment, Milagros felt that there was something familiar in that young woman. She couldn't remember where from, but she had the feeling of having seen Petra before. "Why does she seem so familiar?" she thought, trying to find answers in her confused memory. Milagros's pain was palpable. Each word from Santiago was like a stab wound, and the presence of Petra was a constant humiliation. She knew she needed to be strong for Angeles, who cried silently by her side. "I need to protect her. I can't let this situation destroy us," she thought, determined to find a way out. "Stay then, but know that this is not going to end well, Santiago," said Milagros with a firmness that she did not know she possessed. She turned, took Angeles by the hand, and led her to the room. Inside the room, Milagros collapsed. The tears that she held back in front of Santiago and Petra now ran freely. Angeles, still confused and scared, hugged her mother, seeking comfort in the middle of the chaos. "Mom, why did Dad do this? Why did he bring that woman into our house?" asked Angeles, her voice full of pain and confusion. "I don't know, my daughter, but we will overcome this. I promise we will find a solution," said Milagros, trying to sound confident, although her heart was broken. That night, Milagros did not sleep. Her thoughts were a mix of anger, pain, and a growing determination. I'm not going to let them destroy our life. Tomorrow, I will begin to make a plan. Something has to be done, she thought as she looked at Angelus, who had finally fallen asleep in her arms. Milagros knew that the next day would bring more challenges, but she was determined to face everything with courage and resilience. The surprise and the pain were still present, but now there was also a spark of determination lit in her heart. She would face Santiago and Petra, protect her daughter, and find a way to rebuild her life. The next morning, Milagros went down to the kitchen with a weight on her chest, hoping to find a little normality. Angelus was already sitting at the table, while Santiago and Petra were on the other side, talking in whispers. Milagros felt the tension in the air but decided to remain calm, at least for now. "Good morning," said Milagros, trying to sound calm. "Good morning, Mom," answered Angelus, forcing a smile. Santiago and Petra looked at each other before Santiago answered coldly. "Milagros, we need to talk again, and it's serious." Milagros' heart raced. What else can she do? She thought as she sat down. She didn't have to wait long to find out. "Petra and I have decided that she needs more space. You and Angelus will have to find another place to stay," said Santiago without emotion. "What?" Milagros exclaimed incredulously. "You are kicking me out of our house with our daughter?" "That's right, Milagros. Petra is pregnant and needs comfort. You and Angelus have to leave," answered Santiago firmly. Milagros felt the anger and pain growing inside her. "He has lost all consideration for us," she thought, feeling the tears beginning to form, but she refused to cry in front of them. "You don't know what you're doing, Santiago. You're worthless," shouted Milagros, getting up from the chair with force. Petra, who until then had remained silent, decided to intervene. With a look of disdain, she said, "Santiago is my husband now. You should step aside while you can still maintain a little dignity." Milagros looked at Petra, trying to understand where so much hatred came from. "Why does she talk as if she knows me?" she thought, with confusion mixing with anger. "I don't even know who you are, and you come to my house and steal my husband," replied Milagros, her voice trembling with indignation. "You know very well who I am," answered Petra, her voice full of contempt. "And now, Santiago is mine." Milagros felt a shiver run down her spine. Petra was hiding something, but she didn't have the time or energy to find out now. She needed to think about Angelus. "This will not stay like this, Santiago. You're making a big mistake," said Milagros, her voice low but full of determination. "The mistake was yours, Milagros. Now go pick up your things. This house is mine. I bought it with my money. You have no right here," he said relentlessly, with a coldness that made Milagros feel even more betrayed. Milagros felt her world falling apart, but she knew she couldn't allow herself to fall, not with Angelus looking at her, confused and scared. "I need to be strong for her," she thought while holding her daughter's hand. "Come on, my daughter. Let's go to our room to pack our things," said Milagros, trying to keep a firm voice. In the room, Milagros began to pack with trembling hands. Angelus watched her in silence, her eyes big and full of tears. "Mom, why is Dad doing this?" asked Angelus, her voice full of pain. "I don't know, my daughter, but we will get through this. We will find a safe place for us," answered Milagros, trying to sound confident while she put the clothes in the suitcase. Milagros thought about Eva, her lifelong friend. "She will help us," she thought, feeling a little hope. After packing her things, Milagros and Angelus left the house, leaving behind what was left of their family life. Milagros looked back, feeling a lump in her heart. "This won't be the last time I leave here. I will come back stronger," she promised herself. Eva welcomed them with open arms. As they entered her friend's house, Milagros broke down in tears. Eva held her, offering the comfort she so desperately needed. "You will get through this, Milagros. I'm here to help you," said Eva, stroking Milagros's hair. Milagros felt temporary relief, but she knew that the fight was just beginning. She looked at Angelus, who was curled up next to her, and swore she would find a way to rebuild their lives. "Santiago and Petra will not destroy us," she thought, determined. Milagros left in the afternoon, determined to start over. She knew she needed to find a job to support herself and Angelus. Eva, always willing to help, had mentioned a small company that was hiring. Milagros fixed herself carefully, wanting to make a good impression. "Mom, you can do it. I know you will succeed," said Angelus with an encouraging smile. "Thank you, my love. I will do my best," Milagros replied, kissing her daughter's forehead. Milagros arrived at the company, a small accounting firm in the center of the city. She entered, feeling nervous but determined. In the office, she was greeted by Clara, the manager, who evaluated her with a critical but friendly look. "Good morning. I'm Milagros. I'm here for the administrative assistant position," said Milagros, trying to hide her anxiety. "Good morning, Milagros. Could you tell me a little about your experience?" asked Clara as she guided her to her office. Milagros explained her work experience, highlighting her organizational skills and her ability to handle pressure. Clara listened attentively, taking notes from time to time. Milagros felt that she was being evaluated not only for her qualifications, but also for her attitude and determination. "You seem to have the profile we are looking for. Can we start with a 1-month trial period? What do you think?" Clara said after about 10 minutes of reflection. "Thank you very much for the opportunity. I will do my best to meet expectations," replied Milagros with a smile of relief. Milagros started working at the company the next day. The first days were challenging. She had to adapt to a new environment and learn quickly, but every time she felt discouraged, she thought about Angelus and the promise she made to provide them with a better future. "How did it go on the first day, Mom?" asked Angelus, full of curiosity and hope when Milagros got home. "It was exhausting, but I think I'm going to make it. The people are kind and I'm learning a lot," replied Milagros while serving dinner. As the weeks went by, Milagros began to stand out at work. Her dedication and desire to learn did not go unnoticed by Clara and her colleagues. She became a fundamental piece of the company, gaining the trust and respect of everyone. "You are doing an excellent job, Milagros. We are very satisfied with your performance," said Clara in a feedback meeting a few weeks later. "Thank you, Clara. That means a lot to me. I am really happy to be here," replied Milagros, feeling a wave of gratitude. Despite the long hours and tiredness, Milagros felt more and more confident and accomplished. She knew she was on the right path to rebuild her life. Every day was a new opportunity to show her strength and determination. "Mom, I'm so proud of you," Angela said one night while doing homework next to her mother. "Thank you, daughter. Everything I do is for us. We will overcome this together," Milagros responded, feeling strengthened by the love and support of Angelus. The challenges continued, but Milagros was no longer alone. With the support of Eva and the constant motivation of Angelus, she knew she was capable of facing any obstacle. "I will not let anything knock us down," she thought as she prepared for another day of work. The routine began to stabilize, and Milagros felt a sense of normality returning to her life. She was no longer trapped in the painful past. Now, each step she took was towards a better future, a future that she was building with her own hands. The resilience that she discovered within herself made her stronger every day. However, that tranquility was interrupted one afternoon. As she was leaving work, her phone rang. It was Santiago. "Milagros, I need to talk to you." "It's urgent," said Santiago in a tone that she couldn't ignore. "What do you want, Santiago?" "You've already taken everything from me," replied Milagros, feeling her anger growing. "Not by phone. We'll meet in the plaza in an hour," he said, hanging up before she could protest. Milagros arrived at the square and saw Santiago waiting. He seemed nervous. "What do you want, Santiago?" asked Milagros, crossing her arms. "I'm in financial trouble, a lot of debts. I need you to help me pay them," he said bluntly. Milagros couldn't believe what she was hearing. He betrayed her, kicked her out of the house, and now he wanted her to pay his debts. "Are you kidding me? After everything you did? You still have the nerve to ask me that?" Milagros replied, her voice full of indignation. "It's not a request, Milagros. If you don't help me, I'll start a process to obtain custody of Angelus. I have money for a good lawyer." "You know she'll go with this," Santiago said, looking her straight in the eyes. Milagros felt a knot in her stomach. The idea of losing Angelus terrified her. How can he be so cruel? She thought, feeling the pressure increase. You can't do that. Angelus needs me. I'll do everything for her, Milagros exclaimed, feeling desperate. So help pay my debts. You have savings, and you can get a second job. It's not that much, Santiago said as if it was the simplest thing in the world. Milagros wanted to scream, but she knew it wouldn't do any good. It's no use. She needed to think about Angelus. I can't let him take my daughter away from me, she thought, fighting back tears. Okay, Santiago, I'll help you, but you should know that I'll never forgive you for this, Milagros said in a shaky but determined voice. Great. I'll give you the details of the debts, said Santiago, already getting up to leave. Milagros stood there feeling defeated. She knew she would have to work even harder, but she would do anything to protect Angelus. I won't let him take her, she thought as she walked home. When she got home, Eva noticed something was wrong. What happened, Milagros? Asked Eva, worried. Santiago has debts. He wants me to pay them and threatened to take custody of Angelus from me if I don't, Milagros answered, feeling how tears finally ran down her face. Eva hugged her, offering her the comfort that Milagros needed so much. We're going to find a solution. You're not alone, Eva said, trying to calm her down. Milagros knew Eva was right. No, she was not alone, and with the support of her friend, she would find a way to overcome this obstacle. But I won't let him destroy us, she thought, determined to fight for her daughter and her future. The next day, Milagros began to look for a second job. She needed more money to pay Santiago's debts and make sure Angelus stayed with her. The job at the accounting firm was already demanding, but she was willing to make any sacrifice. Mom, why are you so tired? Asked Angelus, noticing Milagros' dark circles. I'm working a little harder to make sure everything is okay for us, Milagros replied, smiling, although she was exhausted. The following weeks were a true test for Milagros. She worked long hours at the firm and then worked night shifts at a bakery. The tiredness was immense, but she kept her focus on Angelus and the future she wanted to build for them. You are working yourself to death, Milagros. You can't keep going like this, said Eva, worried. I have no choice, Eva. Santiago is not going to stop until he sees me destroyed, but I will not let him take my daughter, answered Milagros with determination in her eyes despite the tiredness. Milagros felt strengthened by Eva's support and by Angelus' love. Every night when she finally got home and saw her daughter sleeping peacefully, she felt renewed. I am doing this for her, for us, she thought while caressing Angelus' hair. Milagros knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but she was ready to face it. With each passing day, her determination grew. She was not going to let Santiago win. She would fight with all her might to protect her daughter and guarantee a better future for both of them. No matter how much I have to work, no matter how much I have to sacrifice, I will win this battle, thought Milagros, feeling the strength of her resilience pulse in her heart. Milagros was exhausted after another day of work, sitting at Eva's kitchen table, drinking a coffee, trying to find strength to continue. Angelus was already in bed, and Eva joined Milagros, bringing a freshly made cake. You need to take care of yourself, Milagros. You can't keep up at this pace, said Eva, placing a slice of cake in front of her friend. I know, Eva, but I can't stop now. I have to pay Santiago's debts to protect Angelus. That lover of Santiago, Petra, ruined our lives, answered Milagros with a heavy sigh. Eva frowned, trying to remember something. Suddenly, an old memory came to her mind. Petra. That name sounds familiar. Do you remember a Petra who studied with us at school, the one who was always jealous of you? Eva asked, her voice full of curiosity. Milagros looked at Eva, trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. A vague image began to form in her mind, and suddenly the name Petra came to mind. Of course, that's that girl who always looked at me with contempt. I never understood why, Milagros answered, feeling a burning sensation in her back. Eva nodded, confirming her suspicions. Yes, it is her. I remember how she got irritated with everything you did. She always wanted to be better, but she never achieved it, said Eva with a tone of bitter memory. Milagros felt the anger and surprise grow inside her. How did she not recognize Petra before? She changed so much, But now it all makes sense, she thought, feeling the intensity of the discovery. This explains many things. She never got over that envy and found a way to get revenge, said Milagros, trying to process the revelation. Eva touched Milagros's arm, offering her comfort. Milagros, this just shows how weak she is. She has always been strong and capable. Don't let her bring you down now, said Eva firmly. Milagros looked at Eva, feeling a new vigor grow inside her. Knowing the truth about Petra only increased her determination to fight. You are right, Eva. I will not let her destroy me. I will use this anger to strengthen myself. Petra is not going to win, said Milagros with a firm voice. Eva smiled, relieved to see the determination in Milagros's eyes. Exactly, and I will be here by your side for whatever you need, Eva said, squeezing her friend's hand. Milagros knew the battle was far from over, but she felt more prepared than ever. Petra may have started this war, but Milagros was determined to end it. She is going to pay for everything she did, she thought as her heart filled with renewed strength. The discovery of Petra's true identity was a turning point for Milagros. Now she understood Petra's motivations and was ready to face her head-on. Milagros knew she couldn't do it alone, but with Eva by her side and the strength of her love for Angelus, she was ready for any challenge. Milagros couldn't wait any longer. The revelation about Petra's true identity filled her with fervent anger and a determination she hadn't felt in a long time. She needed to confront Petra. She needed to hear the truth from her mouth and understand her intentions. With her heart racing, Milagros went to the house that was once hers, now taken over by Petra's unwanted presence. When Milagros arrived, she took a deep breath before knocking on the door. Santiago was at work, and she knew Petra would be alone. The door opened, revealing Petra with a surprised look. "What do you want, Milagros?" asked Petra with disdain. "I want answers now," Milagros answered, entering uninvited. Petra closed the door behind her, maintaining a cold look. Milagros turned around, which made Petra take a step back. "Why did you do this, Petra? Why did you destroy my family?" Milagros began, her voice shaking with emotion. Petra crossed her arms, trying to look indifferent, but there was a spark of insecurity in her eyes. "You don't know? You were always so perfect, so untouchable. I couldn't stand it," Petra confessed, her voice full of resentment. Milagros felt the rage grow even more. "So that's that envy," she thought, trying to keep calm. She couldn't hold it in and asked, "Did you destroy me out of envy? You seduced Santiago to get revenge on me?" Milagros asked, taking a step forward. Petra maintained her posture, but her voice trembled slightly. "Yes, Milagros. I wanted to see you suffer. I wanted to take away what you always had. Santiago was easy to manipulate. I used the pregnancy to tie him to me and end your happiness," Petra admitted with a bitter smile. Milagros felt a chill run down her spine. Petra's frankness was like a knife in her heart, but also a confirmation of what she already suspected. "She hates me so much," she thought as her determination solidified. "You may have destroyed my marriage, Petra, but you're not going to take my life. I'm going to get up, and I'm going to make sure you pay for all of this," she declared with a firm voice full of conviction. Petra laughed, but there was hesitation in her eyes. "Do you think you can stop me? I have Santiago. I have a son of his." "You are nothing now," Petra provoked, trying to maintain superiority. Milagros did not back down. Instead, she took a step forward, making it clear that she was not afraid. "Santiago could have been fooled by you, but he is just a weak man. I am stronger than the two of you together, and I will prove it," said Milagros with a determined look. Petra bit her lip, clearly affected by Milagros's confidence. "We will see how long that strength of yours lasts," replied Petra, trying to hide her insecurity. Milagros got even closer, being centimeters away from Petra. "It will last long enough to see you fall, Petra. That I promise you," said Milagros before turning around and leaving the house. When she left, Milagros felt a mix of emotions. The rage still burned inside her, but there was also a feeling of relief. She had finally faced Petra, and she did not feel defeated. On the contrary, she felt stronger and more determined. While walking back to Eva's house, Milagros reflected on the confrontation. Petra may have started this war, but I'm going to finish it, she thought, certain that she was on the right path. Eva greeted her with a tight hug when she arrived. How did it go? Eva asked anxiously. It was difficult but necessary. She confessed everything. She did it out of envy. But now I know the truth and I'm more determined than ever, Milagros answered, feeling strengthened. Eva smiled, seeing the flame of determination in her friend's eyes. You will overcome this, Milagros. I believe in you, said Eva, taking Milagros's hands. Thank you, Eva. I believe too, and I will fight with all my strength, answered Milagros with a firm smile. That night, Milagros lay down next to Angeles, who was already sleeping peacefully. For you, my daughter, for us, she thought while caressing her daughter's hair. She felt more prepared than ever to face whatever was coming. Petra could have caused a lot of suffering, but Milagros was determined to transform that pain into strength. And so, with new determination pulsating in her heart, Milagros prepared for the next battle. Sitting at Eva's kitchen table, Milagros began to draw up her plan. I can't continue like this, Eva. I need to find a way to change our situation, said Milagros while writing ideas in a notebook. And what do you have in mind? Asked Eva, curious and worried at the same time. I am going to invest in my education. I need a better grade to get a job that pays well. Also, I am going to get more involved in work, show my value, and look for promotions. Milagros determined. Eva nodded, seeing the determination in the eyes of her friend. It's a good strategy. Milagros has always been intelligent and dedicated. I am sure you will succeed, said Eva with an encouraging smile. Milagros knew it would not be easy. She would have to balance work, studies, and taking care of Angeles, but she was willing to make any sacrifice. I am not going to let Petra and Santiago destroy our life, she thought while writing down the online courses she could take at night in the following months. Milagros dedicated herself completely to her goals. She worked during the day and studied at night, often sacrificing sleep. Her dedication did not go unnoticed by Clara, the manager of the company where Milagros worked. Your performance has been exemplary. Are you interested in getting promoted? Clara asked one afternoon, calling Milagros for a conversation. Of course, Clara. I am very grateful for the opportunity. I am willing to do my best, answered Milagros, feeling a wave of relief and hope with the promotion. Milagros began to earn more, which relieved some of the financial pressure. She continued studying, knowing that the more she qualified, the more opportunities would arise. Each achievement was a step towards her independence and the safety of Angeles. Milagros also began to save money, planning a future in which she would not have to depend on anyone. She wanted to buy her own house, a safe and stable place for her and her daughter. We will have our own house, Angeles, a place that no one can kick us out of, she thought while setting aside part of her salary for savings. While Milagros progressed in life, Santiago and Petra began to face difficulties. Santiago's debts only increased, and Petra, accustomed to a life of luxury, began to feel the weight of the decisions she had made. The relationship between them became increasingly tense. Santiago, we need more money. I can't live like this, Petra claimed, irritated. I'm doing what I can, Petra. Things are difficult, Santiago replied, frustrated. Petra, dissatisfied with the answer, began to realize that life with Santiago was not as easy as she had imagined. This is not what I expected, she thought while watching the bills pile up. The fights between Santiago and Petra became constant. Without the support of Milagros, Santiago felt lost. He began to realize how he depended on her to maintain the financial and emotional stability of his ruined life. Everything he thought while looking at Petra with growing discontent. Desperate, Santiago decided to look for Milagros. He knew he was in trouble and needed her help to get out of that situation. One day, he waited for Milagros at the end of work with his heart tight. Milagros, I need to talk to you, said Santiago with an urgent tone in his voice. Milagros stopped, surprised to see him there. She felt a mixture of rage and compassion, but decided to listen to what he had to say. What do you want, Santiago? Asked Milagros, crossing her arms. I made many mistakes. The debts are drowning me, and Petra doesn't stop complaining. I can't handle all this. Just please help me, implored Santiago with eyes full of desperation. Milagros looked at him, feeling a pang of pity but also remembering everything he had done. He deserves this, but I can't stop being human, she thought while evaluating the situation. Santiago, you betrayed me. You destroyed our family and left me with nothing. Now you come to ask me for help, said Milagros with a firm voice, but not without compassion. I know, Milagros. I know I did everything wrong, but I don't know who else to turn to. You were always the strength of our family. Please help me fix this, Santiago implored with tears in his eyes. Milagros felt a mixture of emotions. She knew that helping Santiago would be a risk, but she also knew that she couldn't let him sink completely. Maybe this is the opportunity to show that I am stronger than he thinks, she reflected. I'm going to think about what I can do, Santiago, but don't expect me to solve all your problems. You will have to work hard to get out of this, Milagros said firmly. Santiago nodded, feeling a little hope reborn. Thank you, Milagros. I will do whatever it takes, he said with genuine gratitude. Milagros left Santiago there, feeling more powerful and independent than she ever knew she was. She was now in control, and she was determined to use that strength to ensure a better future for herself and Angelus. I'm going to show everyone that we are stronger than any obstacle, she thought as she walked home, ready to face any challenge that came. Milagros was at the supermarket shopping for herself and Angelus. Life was finally starting to stabilize, and she felt stronger every day. As she placed a few items in the cart, she thought about Santiago. Maybe he needs something. Despite everything, I can't help but help a little, she thought, grabbing some extra food to take home. After finishing her shopping, Milagros headed to the old house. As she got closer, she noticed something that made her stop abruptly. Petra was on the sidewalk, chatting animatedly with an unknown man. The man seemed intimate, and Milagros saw him caressing Petra's pregnant belly. What's going on here? She thought. Intrigued, she decided to hide a little more to observe the scene. The man continued caressing Petra's belly, and they both laughed together. Milagros felt a feeling of discomfort. This doesn't seem right, she thought. She heard fragments of the conversation, trying to catch something that clarified the shock running through her. Our baby? That means the son is not Santiago's, she thought as she tried to process the information. I am too dear. I can't wait to start our life together, replied Petra with an affectionate smile. Milagros felt the rage grow inside her. So, she was cheating on Santiago the whole time, she thought, determined to find out more. She decided to get closer, feeling the adrenaline running through her veins. Petra, what's going on here? Asked Milagros, coming out of her hiding place and facing Petra and the man. Petra turned abruptly, surprised and scared to see Milagros. The man also seemed bewildered but stayed by Petra's side, holding her hand. Milagros, what are you doing here? Asked Petra, trying to sound confident but with clear hesitation in her voice. I came to bring some things for Santiago, but it seems I arrived at the right time. Who is he? Asked Milagros, looking directly at the man. I am Carlos, the baby's father, replied the man in a tone of voice that left no room for doubt. Milagros felt a wave of relief mixed with anger. So it's true. The son is not Santiago's, she thought as she looked at Petra with contempt. So you lied to Santiago from the start. You made me believe that the son was his, and now I see that you were just using him, said Milagros with a voice full of indignation. Petra tried to speak, but Carlos intervened, holding Petra's hand firmly and looking directly at Milagros. Milagros, you don't understand the situation. Petra was desperate. She did what she needed to ensure a good life for our son. We are not going to let you ruin this now, said Carlos with an authoritative voice. Milagros felt anger and indignation growing. So you too planned this. You tricked Santiago, and you still dare to ask me to stay silent? Asked Milagros with disbelief and anger. Yes, it was a plan. Petra wanted to get revenge on you and ensure a comfortable life for our son. It was the perfect plan, Carlos admitted without an iota of regret. Petra looked at Milagros with a mix of fear and defiance. Please, Milagros, don't tell Santiago. We will solve this between us, she begged Petra, but her voice betrayed insecurity. Milagros stared at Petra and Carlos, feeling the strength of her anger and determination. Santiago has the right to know the truth. He has been deceived by you, and I will not allow you to continue manipulating me. I will tell him everything today, said Milagros firmly, turning on her heels and leaving. Carlos tried to take a step forward, but Milagros raised her hand, stopping him with a steely look. Don't try to stop me, Carlos. I will do the right thing, said Milagros with a firm and resolute voice as she walked back to the car. Milagros felt more powerful and sure of herself. This truth strengthens my position and shows who Petra is, she thought as she drove back home. She knew the revelation would be a shock for Santiago, but it was necessary. He needed to know that he had been deceived all this time. When she got home, Milagros told Eva everything, who was shocked. So the baby is not Santiago's. This changes everything, said Eva with a tone of relief and surprise. Yes, Eva and I will make sure Santiago knows the whole truth. He deserves it, answered Milagros, feeling more determined than ever. That night, Milagros felt like she had taken a weight off her shoulders. The truth was finally exposed, and she knew that this would strengthen her position. Petra would not manipulate them anymore. With the truth on her side, Milagros felt more prepared to face any challenge. She was determined to protect her daughter and create a better future for both of them. Nothing could stop her now. The revelation about the paternity of Petra's son was a turning point, and Milagros knew that with courage and determination, she could overcome any obstacle that stood in her way. Determined, she went to Santiago's place of work and waited for him at the exit. When he finally appeared, she felt a mix of nervousness and determination. Santiago, I need to talk to you. It's important, said Milagros, trying to keep her voice firm. What do you want, Milagros? It's not enough with everything. We're going through, answered Santiago, visibly tired, said, No, Santiago, you need to hear this. It's about Petra and the baby. Insisting, Milagros spoke with an urgent tone. Santiago looked at her, intrigued and worried. It's okay, let's talk, but I hope it's quick, he said, leading her to a more private place. Santiago, the baby Petra is expecting is not yours. Today I saw her with a man named Carlos. He is the baby's real father, revealed Milagros, observing Santiago's reaction. Santiago turned pale, the shock evident on his face. What are you saying, Milagros? That can't be true. Petra assured me that the baby was mine, he said with a trembling voice. I heard them talking. Petra admitted that she used you to get revenge on me and ensure a comfortable life for her son, continued Milagros, feeling a mix of anger and sadness for what Santiago was going through. Santiago ran his hand through his hair, trying to process the information. We need to go home. I have to confront her about this, he said with a determined look. Milagros and Santiago went to the house that once belonged to them. When they arrived, Petra was in the living room, carefree. When she saw Santiago enter with Milagros, her smile disappeared. What is going on here? Petra asked, trying to hide her apprehension. Petra, Milagros told me everything. The baby is not mine. It belongs to a certain Carlos. Is it true? Santiago asked with a voice full of pain and rage. Petra hesitated, but saw that there was no escape. Yes, Santiago, I lied. Carlos is the father of the baby. I did it because I wanted to get revenge on Milagros and ensure a comfortable life for my son, Petra confessed, with tears running down her face. Santiago felt a mix of anger and desperation. How could you do this to me, Petra? I trusted you, he screamed, feeling his world falling apart. Milagros watched the scene, feeling a pang of sadness for Santiago's suffering but also a sense of justice. I thought I was doing the best for my son, Petra tried to justify herself, but her words rang empty. You have destroyed my life. You used me as a pawn in your dirty game, said Santiago, with eyes full of tears of rage. Milagros felt it was time to intervene. Santiago, now you know the truth. You don't have to live this lie anymore. It's time to move on and rebuild your life, she said in a calm and firm voice. Santiago nodded, realizing that Milagros was right. You're right, Milagros. I can't keep living this lie. I want you to leave my house today, he said, looking at Petra with contempt. Petra began to cry, but she knew there was nothing else she could do. I'm leaving, Santiago, but you should know that I love you. Although it all started with a lie, she said as she gathered her things. Santiago and Milagros watched as Petra left the house. The silence that followed was heavy, but also filled with a sense of relief. Milagros, I don't know what to say. Thank you for telling me the truth. I didn't deserve this, but now I can start over, Santiago said sincerely. It wasn't easy, Santiago, but you needed to know. Now take care of yourself and do the right thing, Milagros replied, feeling that she had finally closed that chapter of her life. A year had passed since the tumult that destroyed her life, and Petra and Santiago, now mired in financial difficulties, saw no way out. The debts kept piling up, and he desperately needed a loan to try to get back on his feet. With no other option, he headed to the local bank, hoping to get some financial relief. As he entered the bank, Santiago felt a pang of anxiety. He was directed to the bank manager where he would wait to be seen. Sitting in the waiting room, he reflected on the last months and how his life had fallen apart. How did I get to this point? He thought, feeling the weight of the consequences of his actions. Finally, the door opened and Santiago was called in. He stood up and walked into the room, but what he saw shocked him. Sitting behind the desk was Milagros, now the bank manager. She looked at him with a mix of compassion and determination. Milagros, you're the manager? I didn't know, said Santiago with a trembling voice, completely stunned. Milagros kept her gaze steady, but there was a softness in her eyes that Santiago didn't expect. Yes, Santiago, I had another job, but I ended up applying, she said. Santiago turned pale, the shock evident on his face. I'm here to ask for a loan, he replied, still processing the information. I understand. We will discuss that, Milagros said, indicating the chair in front of her desk. Santiago sat down, feeling small in front of her. Milagros took the documents and began to analyze Santiago's financial situation. Each line was a confirmation of the difficulties Santiago faced. Your situation is complicated. The debts are large, and your ability to pay is limited, said Milagros with a professional tone, but not without empathy. I know, Milagros. I am desperate. I need this loan to try to start over. I have no one else to turn to, said Santiago with a mixture of desperation and regret in his voice. Milagros looked at him, remembering everything that had happened. She felt a pang of compassion, but also knew that he needed to learn from his mistakes. Santiago, you know that I can't simply approve a loan without guarantees, but I can help you find a solution, said Milagros firmly. Santiago felt a fragile hope light up within him. Anything, Milagros. I am willing to do whatever it takes, he answered anxiously. Milagros took a deep breath, knowing that she had the power to decide Santiago's destiny. We can work on a debt restructuring plan. You will have to commit to following all the recommendations to the letter and be transparent with your finances, said Milagros, looking him straight in the eyes. Santiago nodded vigorously, feeling a mixture of relief and gratitude. Thank you, Milagros. I will do whatever it takes. I just want a chance to start over, he said sincerely. Milagros sketched a slight smile, feeling that she was finally in control of her life. Let's start working on this then. But remember, Santiago, this is not just about money. It's about changing your life and your attitudes. You have to want to change, said Milagros firmly. Santiago looked at Milagros, sensing the truth in her words. He knew he needed to change not only to pay his debts, but to become a better person. I understand, Milagros, and I'm willing to do it. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, he said with a genuine tone. Milagros felt a sense of accomplishment. She had overcome the challenges, rebuilt her life, and was now in a position of power and respect. Seeing Santiago there asking for help was the confirmation of her victory. Let's begin then. I will guide you in this process, but the responsibility is yours, said Milagros, extending her hand. Santiago shook Milagros's hand, feeling a new hope spring up within him. Thank you, Milagros. I'm not going to waste this opportunity, he said with determination. Milagros looked at Santiago, seeing a man who finally seemed ready to change. She knew the road ahead would be difficult, but she trusted that she was making the right decision. I hope not, Santiago. Let's work together so you can get up. Remember, change begins within you, Milagros said with an encouraging smile. Santiago left the bank feeling lighter. He knew there was still a long way to go, but this was his chance to start over. Milagros, for her part, felt stronger and more confident in herself. If you appreciate this story, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us your opinion about the story. Your support is very important to us. And now another exciting story is appearing on your screen. Have a good session.